At Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. So it looks like you got a fire going on out there tonight. This is California. I don't keep track of where everybody's at. What time is it? Oh, we're not too late. I didn't take the puppy out today. We were out a little bit earlier. Oh, so here's where he goes. Wildfire only 5 miles away. So smoky you can't see the road. 20-mile-an-hour winds. To stress a go bag because we haven't had something like this in our area before. Interesting. This morning, fly fishing was clear as can be. I'm not going to say fly fishing caused this, but we can talk about a go bag. So it's probably a good idea for all different kinds of reasons because of these trucks that drive around. Until we get robots driving the trucks where it'll be safer, you got the potential of trucks wrecking, knocking some kind of gas or fluids or some kind of chemicals all around. So that's always a possibility. Or a bus load. Buses are also problems. A bus load of criminals, let's say. That could happen. And then they all get loose. And now they're running around your neighborhood and you have to leave. I don't know. There could be a lot of different things. So things can come to you. You don't have to wait for some kind of natural disaster to come to you. So, we can talk about something like that. A couple of different people out there, barbecues out there, strikes out there. There he is.
I'm also in here.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, fair to middle. It's kind of hot out.
Well, you do live in a desert.
So, if you got a book out of there, it's probably a good idea to have a quick set of clothes, bottom of the bag or whatever. It's not like you're going to need those right away, but that could be handy. Probably something like a jacket or something that's light, some kind of a scarf, some like towel-ish type of scarf thing. It can have multiple uses. I'd say probably a hat and something that could be useful, maybe like a solid material, something that could be useful to keep smoke or crap out of your hair for everybody. So that means everybody's got a bag with all that in it. And then, the equivalent size of like an MRE, but, that kind of size, smaller than a lunchbox, bigger than a baggie or a sandwich baggie. But, a little bit of some food in there. So maybe 2-3 sandwich bags worth of food, depending on who it is and what you like to eat. But, something you can put in there and leave in there for a while. And ideally something that you can just eat, you don't have to fiddle with. Ideally, though, something that you could fiddle with, something that you could heat up. MREs can be handy for that kind of stuff, but there's all kinds of regular alternatives to that. I would say having an additional light in everybody's thing. So a light in there and then a light on the outside somewhere. So almost every bag you got is going to have some sort of little pockets on the outside. Put a little couple of handy light in the outside pockets and then a longer term light, maybe something at this point that opens up into a fluorescent light even. So it could be useful, maybe parents or somebody could have that, or even kids, just to give them extra light if it turns into a having to stay awake in the dark type of, or stay around in the dark. Let's see. I'd say having some sort of like cards, or I would say cards are probably ideal because they're small and they're unbreakable. Lots and lots of uses with them. You walk up to somebody, they're going to know how to play. And then maybe a couple of rolls of dice or something like that. Or I don't think you need to have any kind of chips or anything. You can always find something to use as tokens or whatever, but dice could be handy. Having dice that are actually going to be random and stuff makes games a lot funner than some improvised dice. But anyway, that's pretty low key, and it's handy for anybody to pass the time, especially if you're wounded or something, you get stressed out, some sort of alternative thing happens and you're stressed. Having cards to pass the time or distract can be handy. Of course, first aid, so you want to have everybody have a first aid that's trauma related, like individual first aid kit or individual trauma kit, primarily a tourniquet and gauze and rubber gloves maybe, and then just maybe a couple of things of gauze and a tourniquet though on the outside, and then on the inside a more elaborate one, and then one with one of the parents or something, or in the vehicle, more elaborate type of kit with more stuff. Mainly just backups to refill the kits, and then bigger gauze and maybe some stuff for like cleaning wounds and stuff. Let's see, luckily my truck happens to be packed for camping. Don't know if I could take all my firearms with, have to pick my favorites. So that's where it's, you buy one of these safes at a big box store, and there's a really good video from a guy in Florida where you buy a box or a safe from a big box store, and those are literally designed by how much they weigh and how many square feet they are going to take up in the store. And then it's just marketing. So they take two pieces of stop sign material and they pour plaster of Paris in between there. It immediately starts to rust. So they do things to prohibit that, but eventually it's going to rust out, or parts of it rust out. You got hit or miss depending on what brand you buy and how humid it is in the environment when they made it. Anyway, those things are garbage. Can't recommend enough for that kind of situation where you've got to depend on your safe to actually protect your stuff, like a opposite of a kiln, like a fire insulation. You're going to want something made in the United States with real steel. The steel itself can be a heat sink and redistribute heat from a hot spot. Typically it's not like a blowtorch hitting your safe from all directions, but if you've got it in a garage or if you've got it in a gun room, it might get blown out with a bunch of black powder hitting it, for 3 or 4 minutes on the side or something, or a bunch of books on the side of it burn, or some turpentine or something spills on it and it's burning pretty heavy on one side for a while. Fort Knox is the only safes that are no bullshit, all the temperature for 90 minutes. So they're the best fire safes you can buy that are actually affordable, as opposed to like a safe made for jewelry or cash or something, which are going to have a lot more steel, so a lot more heat sink, and then actual fire resistant materials inside as well. So anyway, Fort Knox offers all of that in their basic models. That's why they start at like $700 to $1,000. And then the more you get, the more fancy a safe you get, the more room inside, but more fire resistance you get. So for that, there's literally videos where Fort Knox will take a safe full of stuff, drop it into a burning house, and then I think they burn the house down, then they start it on fire again or some shit, and then they go and open it. And basically, the Glock's a little goofy, so it did fuck with the plastic guns a little bit, but all the papers are fine and all the wood and metal guns are fine. So none of the other safes are going to do nothing like that. They're going to prevent somebody who's not able to open a safe for sure, but anything can do that. But for a fire, you're only going to get a couple of US-made safes that can handle fire. So that's frustrating. But another option is, of course, putting them somewhere like in a basement or something where it's less risk, I guess, depending on where you are, for fire at least. Having the truck packed, that's a good idea. I don't know how many people you got there either. But being ready is probably a good idea. I'd say having some tools. I like having tools to get through and around stuff. So bolt cutters and picks and screwdrivers and things like that. It's handy to be able to not be at the discretion of somebody else's situation and trying to get away from something.
So
Water,
what about saws?
like a metal saw, like a hacksaw.
Whatever kind you'd recommend.
I don't know. I mean, I guess. I don't think it'd be, I don't know. It's probably something I'd have in a vehicle, but I don't know. I've only encountered a couple of times where I've needed a saw. Have you?
Yeah, but I'm surrounded by wood, so
Yeah, I guess if you lived in trees, then that's a whole different thing, and you're right. So, I mean, having a bullshit fake saw is nothing compared to, putting a real saw that it can accomplish stuff. You can get saws with really fine teeth that are made for, leaving a nice finish behind. Like they're going to leave a nice pattern behind in the hard wood that you cut with it really slow. But then you can also get them super aggressive. I forget what they used to call it, but there was a Stanley, like really aggressive one that just would rip through pine. So something like that for a gardening saw. I've seen some gardening saws like that too. Something like that where it's just designed to cut down a piece of wood and not fart around. It's not trying to look funny or nothing. It's just there to do it over and over and over. Yeah, something like that, almost like a gardening tool, probably be useful. But then again, depending on where you're at, chainsaw is a necessity. I mean, none of us are thinking Alaska, but
yeah.
you're trying to book somewhere in Alaska, or I've been to places where, yeah, if a tree went across the road, you're not moving the tree. So your best you can do is cut a hole in the tree.
I've got 3 chainsaws in different sizes.
But are the trees around there to the point where, like I say, if one fell across the tree or the thing, you couldn't move it at all, you'd have to cut through it?
I'd have to cut through it, yeah. They're that big.
Well, then you'd probably even, and I've dealt with those with real saws, like back and forth saws in wilderness areas where you can't take a chainsaw, and it would take a giant chainsaw anyway. But the old fashioned saws like you see in the, I don't know,
Like in the movies?
cartoons and stuff. Yeah, those are for real. And they take a little practice getting used to, but they are fast. Holy moly, are they efficient? And they are good. Like they get them sharp. I was working for the Forest Service, so the Forest Service owned them, but they had them. They were old, and they had them sharpened. And man, they were better than a chainsaw. When you get 2 capable people on there, man, they were just really fun.
Yeah.
But they take a while. I mean, we had all summer to practice, but they take a little while to get used to, and you got to have 2 people. So, and you got to carry that big thing around. They ain't like right on the outside of a horse. They do work on the outside of a horse, but if you ain't carrying outside a big horse full of stuff, then it's impractical because they're like 3 feet long or 4 feet long. I forget, but they're pretty long.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Actually, they're longer than that. Shit, they might be 6 feet long. You're standing pretty far away from each other.
But
another thing I'd recommend is just checking your spare tire, making sure it's in good condition, aired up, making sure you got a good 4-way or a breaker bar with a good socket on there for your lug nuts in case you were to experience a flat or something during an evacuation.
Yeah, it's probably the worst time to get some kind of a flat or whatever. Oh, he always keeps a chainsaw in the truck, so there you go.
No, that's taking a
Here's
head.
the tip. I like to keep my gasoline in glass jars, maybe pickle jars, something like that. Just put them in like a milk crate in the back. Cheaper than buying one of them plastic things all the time. So I don't know, where's Garrett at? Anyone? No.
I don't know where Garrett is at. He hasn't told us.
I'm assuming California, but I don't know where.
Yeah, I just got a little dinky chainsaw, so I wouldn't want to have to carry around a big old chainsaw all the time.
If I was going to take one of my chainsaws to go with me, I'd probably take the electric one.
You'd be surprised what you can do with a 25cc chainsaw.
What are you going to do with an electric chainsaw in your vehicle?
It's got a battery.
It's a chainsaw that runs off a battery? Cordless?
It's cordless, yeah.
Oh, how long does it run for?
It runs for about an hour or two.
I thought you meant like you plug it in the wall like a
no. No, they've gotten a little bit more advanced. It's lithium-ion battery.
How long does it last for?
About an hour or two.
An hour of cutting big trees?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I'd get one of them. Well, who makes it? Real company?
I think it's a Ryobi.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos, but I don't retain the info on how all the stuff breaks down. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. I seen a Milwaukee pump that impressed the shit out of me. I don't know what you'd use it for, but you stick a hose in one side and you stick a hose in the other side, and then it just, it's like a cordless thing, you know, it's battery on it, but it basically sucks the swimming pool dry in a little while.
Yeah. I mean, I have one lying around. I've got gas ones too. It's just, you know, and when I say different, when I said sizes of chainsaws, I meant different lengths of blades, because I got one that's really small. It's got a small blade, and I've got one that's got a medium and then a large. And the medium is the electric.
He says he's got electric ones in his car and a gas one in the truck. I didn't even know they had electric chainsaws. Or, I mean, I assume they had them, but I figured they were for branches and for, I don't know, babies who are watching their dads use their gas chainsaw.
Maybe 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, they're pretty badass now. My cousin has a Ryobi, and it's a pretty slick machine.
How much noise they make? Are they like, rah, 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 like a chainsaw?
Actually, they're really quiet.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're not too bad.
So they're basically dangerous. You could be a chainsaw mass killer. You wouldn't even hear it.
You still hear the chain going. Okay, you just don't hear the engine.
What if it was lubed with victims' blood, though? And then it would be silent, and you'd just be running around chainsaw murdering people.
Contrary to popular belief with electric chainsaws, you still have to use bar oil.
I tell my cousin it's the Prius of chainsaws.
All right, so Garrett's jumping out because of his battery issues. So hopefully he's got more battery in his chainsaws, but hopefully you don't get no fire there. What you should try to do is pour water on stuff, because fire doesn't like water, or blow on it. Maybe it'll blow it the other way. But hopefully you don't get fire. Hopefully the wind comes and blows the other way and blows it out, or blows it back into itself and it goes out.
Just get a couple of industrial fans and point them towards the fire.
Rain dance. Quick rain dance.
Does gun library have any Native American in them?
That's racist. You don't have to be Native American. You say do it right. Well, I don't know if you even heard any of that, but hopefully it gets good to go over there. So, yeah, losing power's lame.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens.
Well, no use mansplaining the rest of how to survive to him, because he's on his own now. Well, when we open up the show, it'd be a conversation, chat about stuff. Yeah, the fire was within 5 miles of them when we started the show. We've been going for 19 minutes, and I think he said 20-mile-an-hour wind. So there's probably some mathematical way to figure out how imminent the fire is going to be hitting them. Using math.
Oh, that's like really close. Well, 20 miles an hour would be
6 miles a minute. No, because then he would have been overrun with fire within the first minute of chatting with us. So I might be doing my math.
It depends on which way the wind's blowing too.
All right, so we're looking at the calendar over here, screen share, and it's always like a day ahead by the time I start the show here. So yesterday we had Berdan Primer guy, dude during the Civil War. He had filed a bunch of patents, and one of them is for the Berdan Primer. So it's interesting. He did Berdan Primer. That's having more than one hole down there, right? And then that's what they started using in Europe. And then the Boxer Primer was some Europe guy, and that's what we started using. So that happened. So anyway, this guy was in New York, and I think if I remember right, this guy was the shit. Like, this guy was a very good shot, and I think he impressed Lincoln or somebody, if I remember right. And he's the, like it says, the father of the sharpshooters. So this guy is worth doing some research on. He's interesting. That guy was born back in 1824 on Sunday. So then today we got Ludwig Verman, blah, blah, blah. So the seat set me. Doesn't Night Strike have a set me?
Century C308, but same thing, yeah.
Yours doesn't look like this one, so this must be some weird version of the original one or something. I don't remember when I grabbed this picture.
Yeah, mine has the wood furniture, and it's got the buttstock on it. That looks like that's the one without the buttstock.
Yeah, it's some kind of weird thing, but I don't ever remember seeing anything like this before, other than like maybe the receiver and the grip and stuff. It kind of looks like one, but I'm guessing this might be some prototype or some initial model.
That might be the prototype that was in 762 Set Me.
Oh, there's this whole caliber for that?
Yeah, basically, originally they made it in 762 by 51 Set Me, and then they adapted it for NATO. So.
Vanessa, could he say no volume, but everybody else is getting volume okay? Wiggle the volume knob or whatever. Let's see. So then we get, so anyway, I was doing the research for the firearms inventors, and this guy didn't make the list, but I put him in the calendar because so many people like Setmes or whatever. It's kind of interesting, but was he German? Yeah, he's just some German guy. I don't think he did anything else, did he? So I don't know. So then we get tomorrow, which is Tuesday, right? And that'll be a couple of different things. Quackenbush is going to be the anniversary of his passing in 1933. But this guy, there's a whole interesting history to the whole beginnings of air guns and stuff. So, yeah, I don't even know where this guy fits in. But there's obviously Daisy, and then there's a couple other companies from back then. And I think the way they say is this guy is the first guy to I forget how this guy falls in, because there's the other, the Daisy comes from this whole story with, what am I trying to say? Windmills. Windmills that are designed for water wells, where you'd put them somewhere, big aluminum or metal, probably tin windmill, and they were making pretty good money, but they weren't making that much money. So then they kind of pivoted over to air guns because of their neighbors. And I don't know where this guy falls into it, but same kind of thing. The making things out of stamped metal they weren't really exclusive in these companies. You know, they were making all different kinds of things. So this guy also invented the step ladder, the extension ladder, I guess. So it makes sense, right? It's big, extruded, or I guess shaped stamped metal. So whatever the equipment that they could do that on, it lent itself to making air guns. So a lot of these people made air guns. Also, Quackenbush is the guy that invented those little air gun darts that a lot of people have used before. And those things were invented in 1874. And I forget, there's like 4 machines that were ever made. And they just stopped using the one machine like in the 2000 something, like 2011 or something crazy. So, like all during my life and my being a little kid and shooting those darts, which I've shot a lot of those little darts, they all come out of these machines from 1874 or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool. And that's this guy that invented the machine. And they just never needed to make more machines. So this guy made like a few and they just never needed to make more. He also invented that nutcracker that you've seen that looks like kind of like nunchucks, where it's 2 pieces of metal with a third piece that holds them together with 2 pivots. It's kind of a simple nutcracker. He invented that thing too. So he's kind of cool. He's from New York. And then we got the incorporation of the American Suppressor Association in 2011. So that's also tomorrow. And that's a association, obviously, for the decriminalization, I guess, of suppressors, or the repeal of infringements on suppressors, basically the repeal of the NFA, but with the layer of suppressors, I guess, first. So I think they made pretty good headway. It was an industry organization, came together in 2011. I don't know if anybody was paying attention, but it wasn't a big deal when they came together. At least it was an industry announcement when they came together, but it wasn't too soon after the beginning of 2012 that they went to the NFA. They went to the technology, or they went to the NFA branch of the ATF in West Virginia at the time. It's moved since then, but they went there with their cameras on and they walked the aisle, the hallway where they had all the Form 1s and 4s sitting in legal boxes, like waist high or even 4 stacks high some places. And they were talking about how the nuts and bolts of what it was like in the technology, or in the ATF. So that was super cool. And so right off the bat, they came out just cutting new ground and doing stuff different. And this was 8 years after the end of the assault weapons ban. And so this was, well, so far, I think, somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but this was the best effort we've seen so far to address the NFA, or at least portions of the NFA, head on. And I mean, they did excellent. They had the Hearing Protection Act, treating the suppressors as an OSHA safety issue, and not quite requiring them, but certainly removing restrictions in order to allow, the protection of them. They got that pretty fucking close. And then was coming home from Texas, Gun Rights Policy Conference, 2017, I guess, and heading my way to from Dallas, and some jerk in Las Vegas, or at least they say that some jerk in Las Vegas shot across a parking lot, across 3 lanes of traffic, a median, another 3 lanes of traffic, another parking lot, and into people with a bump stock, and somehow hurt a bunch of people. And that panic was enough to drop ASA, or drop the Hearing Protection Act, I should say. So anyway, ASA has done amazing things, and then in 2017, it all came to dramatic halt. And since then, no one's petitioned to initiate it again at all. I don't think anybody, including, I've seen them do stuff, but I guess I don't have it over here right now. But there seems to be a bit of a pause in the, momentum of states getting suppressors for hunting. And there's no reason for that. No one used a suppressor for anything. It was only, whatever you want to say about the timing or the situation, but it had nothing to do with suppressors. So anyway, that's super frustrating. And then we'll have some other stuff coming up later on in the week, but that's the calendar over here. Anybody got anything to throw into that before we When they got here, yeah.
I think that about sums it up.
All right, I'll open this thing up to be a conversation, not a lecture. So I can go look at my calendar and we can put out links, and that's about all I'm going to chat about something.
Pennsylvania has two pro-gun bills headed to the Senate right now.
Oh yeah, what's going on with that?
We got House Bill 1747, which is to limit the governor's powers to restrict our firearms rights during states of emergency. For those that don't know, Pennsylvania is a open carry state, and during a state of emergency, if it's declared, then you lose the ability to open carry unless you have a concealed carry permit. And from what I understand, there's other things that they can restrict on transporting firearms, other things like that. So a few years ago, our governor had actually declared a state of emergency during the opioid epidemic, and it's never been lifted. And I mean, I called it from the get-go saying, hey, this is just backdoor gun control. And I'm not saying that people still aren't overdosing on opioids or anything, but you're definitely not hearing about it like we were when this state of emergency was declared. So it's really a attempt to limit the governor and his powers, which some people are saying, oh, well, it's just because you don't like Wolf. I'm saying, no, it's not because I don't like Wolf. I don't think any governor should have the ability to do that. Then the other one is House Bill 2440, which is going to declare the firearms industry to be essential and life-sustaining. That way, if anything happened again, like with COVID-19 earlier this year, where the governor, we're shutting down this and we're shutting down that and everything else, they won't be able to shut down firearms manufacturers, your local shops, ranges, etc. So I've just been trying to get the word out about that today.
Any way to gauge people's opinion or attitudes on that?
Honestly, I don't know.
Were they ballot initiatives, or were they? You said they're from the House.
Yeah, they're from the House. I think we probably have a decent chance for them to go through the Senate, but the problem is once they hit the governor's desk, I don't see him signing them.
Yeah.
Now, like the first one I mentioned, House Bill 1747, that went through the House clear back in, I think, April. And I just got the email from the GOA a few days ago that it's going to be going to the Senate now when they end their summer session or some crap like that. So I figured it was time to, start getting on people, try and get them to press their senators and let them know that, hey, we want these things to go through.
Yeah.
If they've gone through before yet? Or is this first time?
What's that?
Have they pushed these before, or is this first time?
From what I understand, because the House Bill 2440 I only heard of recently. From what I understand, that one's sitting in committee right now, so I'm thinking that one's tried to go through before, but I'm not 100%. But as far as the 1747, I think this might be the first time for it.
Well, there's something going on in South Carolina.
What's that?
One of the legislators is filing a bill to expand the castle doctrine stand your ground laws to include being able to brandish on your own property. Because
they put brandishing in, I forget when, but like specifically they included brandishing out here like a while ago, and it hasn't ever been an issue. So that seems like the kind of thing that they put in a long time ago because somebody was scared of something somebody did somewhere. But it seems like if it's the same as here, once they get rid of that, nobody will understand why it was ever a law in the first place.
Right. Well, they ignored it when they did the castle doctrine, and it shouldn't have been an afterthought because, it's your property. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want as long as you're not, killing anyone, obviously. But it was an oversight, so they're trying to correct the oversight, which is a good thing. So.
And any way to feel the pulse on that one?
So.
Can you tell if people are going to vote for it or what?
I think it'll probably pass, yeah.
Now, are they doing this because something happened, or are they just going back and saying, hey, we should have included this and let's make it right?
They're doing it retroactively because of what happened with McCloskey's.
Okay.
Now, even though that's Missouri and this is South Carolina, but South Carolina likes to have similar laws like the other states in the South.
You're calling Missouri the South?
Huh?
You're calling Missouri the South?
They claimed it. So.
Well, let's see. Imagine that a governor not signing a bill that would limit their powers.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too.
Well, unless they
Governor Wolf's been. What's that night shirt?
Unless your state Senate and House have some sort of law saying as long as you have more than 2/3 vote, it automatically passes whether he vetoes it or not. Do you guys have something like that on the books?
I don't remember, honestly. I'd have to dig into that. But I think when it passed the House, it passed in a landslide.
Yeah.
But yeah, our governor, Wolf, he's been out of control the last couple of years. He had his second term, and he pretty much said, all right, well, can't get reelected after this, so we're just going full leftist. And they got 80% lowers where you actually have to register them now. So the whole BS ghost gun crap is not able to be done with lowers in PA, which it's all a bunch of BS, because then there's a special form that they made that the FFLs have to have you fill out and all kinds of crap. Then last I knew, they were trying to eliminates ammo sales being mailed to your door from online purchases. Last I knew, that hasn't gone through yet, though.
This is all in November, right?
Well,
This will all be voted in November.
I don't think either of those will actually get to be voted on as a ballot initiative.
Oh, that's just stuff they're going to do?
Yeah, the 80% lowers they already did. I know the last couple months there's been a lot of petitions going around for people to sign, petitioning against the online ammo purchases, so we can still have them shipped to our door and whatnot. But yeah, the 80% lowers, they already did that one. It's signed, sealed, delivered.
Okay, I just went and looked it up for Pennsylvania, and yeah, if the governor vetoes that bill, but it's got a 2/3 majority in each body, then it becomes a law anyways in Pennsylvania.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't 100%. Like I said,
I went and looked it up just to be sure, because in most states it's like that. Even in the government. So I just figured it'd be the same.
Yeah, let's say, like I said, that 1747, it very well might have passed the House with a 2/3 vote. When I saw the numbers on it, I was like, "Holy cow! They really hammered them on this one." That's why I'm thinking we shouldn't have too much issue getting it pushed through the Senate, but we'll see.
If only they could have done that with Virginia.
I said we've got a couple turncoats in the Senate, like Pat Toomey.
Yeah.
So I think they're talking about Missouri. So from what I understand is it was north and then a couple of people wanted it to be south. Or are you saying it was south and a couple of people wanted it to be north?
I think it was half. I think it was half and half.
I don't think it was half. Unless every movie I've ever seen is based on fiction, I thought that it was like mostly north and there was just a couple of sons of bitches that wanted it to be south. They'd come into town and fuck shit up, and that caused all the problems in Missouri. Because otherwise they wouldn't even hardly been involved. They weren't even near it. I guess maybe they were involved because that's where, was meat coming from there already? Or was that after the war? That might have been after the war.
That might have been after.
I think during the war,
I think that was after.
Like eating fish and shit, because it was after the war that the guys from the Civil War went west and became cowboys and started grabbing up all the beefs and dragging them to Kansas City and whatnot. So anyway, I don't know. I've been to Missouri plenty of times, too many times. But too many mosquitoes for me. You can keep it. I'll go there and visit once in a while, but I'm not going to go very often.
Yeah, same here.
Where's Daniel from?
DTP?
Yeah.
I don't keep track of where everybody's at. I think he said he's from STL.
Oh,
that
okay.
That means the streets of Toledo, Los Angeles. I don't know.
St. Louis?
Streets of Tudaludu, Louisiana. I don't know. I've never heard of the abbreviation STL. It might mean steel. Abbreviation for steel. Is changing the subject to metal.
I
St.
think it means
Lackawanna.
St. Louis.
St. Lackawanna.
Oh boy.
He's not telling us, so I guess we're just have to keep making shit up. So let's see. There's claimed to be 6 people on here. This is always interesting to me. So we got these two. There's probably 2 of them. Then we got DTP. Who's the third one? Who's the last one? Is this kitty still out there? We know this guy is burned up in a fire earlier today.
Yeah. There's
You and you.
Yeah.
Is there anybody even out there? They were split, but Southern sympathy. Is that saying more Southerners?
saying half and half, I guess.
You'd have to show me. I'd spend a lot of summers an hour up I-70. This doesn't. I guess that's English, but I don't know what that is. Is that some sort of code for someplace in Missouri? Abbreviation for St. Louis. It's a type of gun. St. Louis gun.
STL is the abbreviation for St. Louis.
Oh, DTP is in St. Louis? I thought DTP was in someplace else. I guess I don't keep track of people very good. Like if they grab me off the side of the road or whatever, I'm walking down the road minding my business, they grab me and they're like, where does this person live? You're all safe. Like I have no idea. I barely keep track of which Dakota Night Strike is in.
Not in either Dakotas. Further south and east.
I know people are west of me or east of me. That's usually all that I like.
Well, that's because you live in New Mexico.
And then I know people are north of me because, like, I would say Dead Horse is north of me. Pretty much due north of me. That's about the only person, I guess. Well, no, everybody in Phoenix is north. We don't get very many Phoenix folks in this chat ever. Very Arizona unfriendly.
It didn't used to be like that. I blame all the Californians moving in.
Border raids. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of like movies and a couple of things. Back in the day, I used to have to go somewhere down there. I think it was by St. Louis. It might have been somewhere else. And it was some sort of a place, like probably a national park, I guess, or it might have been private. But, you know, like somewhere where you end up going and spending the afternoon getting told about like the hill, why it's significant that there's this hill here, and what's in the hill, and when they found the hill, there's no trees on the hill, and all that crap about the hill for like an hour, like for hours, for like way too long. But I don't know. This is the Missouri chat. So what's awesome about St. Louis area is if you go northwest of St. Louis, you get to whatever the name of the town is, Wentzville, where all the vans are made, all the Chevy vans are made. That's a pretty nice spot. One of these days, Chevy's going to invite me in there, and I'm going to be one of them deals where they start out with the wheels, and they're like, which wheels do you want? And then they'll be like, which axles do you want? And they'll be like, which frame do you want? Stuff like that. And then eventually, all at the end, it'll be like Kit and Knight Rider, except probably won't be electric. Unless they do give me an electric one, I'll take an electric one. You know what I mean? That would actually be pretty cool. If in the future, when all the cars are like Knight Rider, right? Why wouldn't it be like that? You can go online, or you can just go down to the factory and just choose all your options and watch it be assembled in front of you. It'll all be on demand anyway. So it'll probably just be like $5 more, and you can just sit there watching it all be made. How cool would it be if you could just sit in the driver's seat, and then they build your car of the future around you? Like they bring up the frame under you, and then it's like being on a ride at Disney, except that they're bunch of robots come up and build the car all around you, and then you just drive off at the end in your car, except it's a van.
Probably wouldn't be safe.
It'd be the shit. It'd be like Iron Man, except better because you got a van at the end. You know, like when Iron Man goes down onto that Oreo cookie and like it dresses him. Maybe it's a hockey puck, whatever it is. He goes down into that basement room where there's like a big hockey puck and he sits on it and it dresses him into his Iron Man suit. I would feel like that except for me. That'd be a cool animation. They should do that and then make the animation, and then I could be like, I challenge you to make it where I can have my van made that way. And then one of their engineers will be like, oh, damn, that's a challenge we'll have to take. What's all this? One of my ancestors was Quantrill's Raiders. I don't know what that is. Is that stomach medicine?
That's a Southern sympathy group.
One of those sons of bitches that would come up and raid in there and cause havoc, try to get everybody instigated.
Yeah.
Fly airplanes, make chemtrails.
No, this was in the end of the Civil War, or during the Civil War.
They had submarines back then. I mean,
Chakachuka mounds? I don't know.
I realize it's
I
not
didn't-
planes. But
In the Civil War, they would take balloons up in the air and look at what was going on.
And they use submarines too.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the air. But all they could do is take a balloon up in the air. I think they would do it where they took the balloon up as high as the rope could go. It wasn't like they'd let go of balloons back then. They would just take it up like on a kite, look around, come back down. Every once in a while, when one got loose, it was like an accident. From what I think that's how. Because they didn't have no way of going and getting it.
The North submarine sunk because it went through a storm. And they never built another one. And the South, well, one of their submarines sunk, but they rebuilt it. So they use it twice.
Were they actual submarines or were they boats converted to submarines?
Oh no, they were real submarines.
yeah, they
Look up
actually
the
they're pretty
I remember the first one was
nifty.
a boat converted. I don't remember if that.
Basically, the propulsion was basically they had like 5 or 6 men using a corkscrew propulsion drive.
Yep.
I'd seen ones where they had engines in there and it would kill them for the engines going in the water.
No, they used one of those. It's similar to like a bicycle propulsion, but instead it's just it's basically more like an old style drill.
Yeah, everybody's pumping on bicycle wheels though.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so
Well, they shouldn't have been getting all their ideas from watching the Flintstones. That's crazy.
this is before that.
Well, the Flintstones were on comic books back then.
That's why the Germans lost. They thought they were being clever with their U-boats. Little did they know that we were training 100 years before that.
Yeah, they thought their U-boats were so great. It's like, we have experience using submarines in the Civil War. We also had experience using trench warfare in the Civil War as well, before everybody else in World War I. I'm not actually kidding. Look at the last couple battles in the Civil War. They did actually take pictures of that because they did have cameras at that point. Now, granted, they were really, really, really grainy. The pictures came out, but you can see overall what the battlefields looked like, and it's oddly reminiscent of World War I.
Yeah, I've been to, I want to say most of the battlefields. I think I've been to most of the battlefields, but I'm not going to say I remember them all or nothing. But when I was a little kid, I went to them all the time, or I was taken to them all the time. And my recollection is, and I don't remember enough. I'm not saying I retain much, but there was definitely a lot of them that looked like that, like what you're talking about. And if I paid more attention, there might have been some pace to the war or something. But there's definitely a lot of times where I wouldn't call it like, well, I guess it's siege, where like somebody was sitting there and somebody came up and stood there and nobody did anything for a long time. They just, like, the whole battle took place in this one big ass yard and they were just both dug in, like you're saying. Either natural or they would dig something, but a lot of times it was just natural, like a creek or something.
They actually built proper trenches.
Yeah, but not always, and not all of them are.
They weren't all the same, though. That they were all.
Well, they're not all there anymore either. Sometimes they kept the battlefield the way it was, but other times, in like the
They destroyed it.
Yeah, the 1960s, they went back and bought it, and then they made it look kind of like the battlefield, but yeah, all the stuff's gone. There's one famous one where it was like that, and the dudes that were on the one side, I don't remember, I think it was the north, whatever the one side though, the guys that were in the two trenches, they had their occupation happened to be miners or whatever, so they just dug a giant trench or tunnel, underneath the other side. They filled it up with dynamite or gunpowder and shit and blew the crap out of them. Made a giant crater that's still there. And that's when Browning found out about that, and that's when he invented the 45 ACP to cause that kind of devastation and end world wars quickly.
I don't think he was alive. No, actually, he might have been.
No, he wasn't alive, but he learned that lesson from that battle. Is all I'm saying. Studying that battle.
Right. Studying history. Yeah, of course.
Something about the Potomac? I don't know what happened there. What did we say about the Potomac?
Actually, no. John Moses Browning was alive during the Civil War.
Really? So
he was about 10 years old when it ended.
I fished in the Potomac one time. I didn't catch any fish though. Let's see. Where's Utah? Utah? Oh, I don't even have that one open. I wonder I can't find Utah. Yeah, I have Browning's thing open in the other one. I didn't think he was born that early.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
That's one of the reasons I'm doing this one, though. I'm now taking all the history and putting it in like a giant timeline in order. And that's one of the things I'll be doing next is putting all the inventors, because this is all the modern stuff. But once you get back to the day, that's when they're either being born or inventing their shit, right?
Right.
Like pages will be all of that.
It's amazing he lived as long as he did, especially back in those days.
What was he, 70? I don't think he was that old.
Yeah, 71.
Yeah,
but he
also, back then.
I guess that's real, but he also lived a clean life, right? He's a Mormon, like a strict Mormon, so he probably wasn't drinking no caffeine even.
Probably wasn't even smoking.
Yeah.
Well, no, he wasn't smoking for sure. And then probably doing stuff like getting up in the morning and exercising and, just being healthy and whatever, church going and all that. Keeps you alive, I guess. Plus he made stuff like the 1911 and the M2, everything in between. So that keeps you alive a long time. And we had a couple of days where the rain came and it got cool. And then it went down to like 70s at night. But we were all counting our chickens before they hatched because of gizzard. And it's been like 106 the last couple of days. So going in, like we had the hottest July. No, we had the hottest August. We had the hottest July. We had the hottest August, like on record in 120 years of keeping temperatures, the hottest months. And then September comes along, and the first couple of days of September, we hit the all-time record September ever. So this is hottest month in Arizona. Has it been the same across the country?
Yeah,
So
No,
is
it's been really nice up here.
it's been pretty hot down here.
records though, like record type weather?
Not record, but you know, a little warmer than usual.
Yeah, okay. Because that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know how weather works or what, but you know, if it was the record everywhere, that would be interesting. My one, I got somebody who I know who's convinced that it's because the airplanes aren't flying, because we don't have as many airplanes flying and cars driving and stuff like that. But that's
Oh
the
yeah,
case.
our greenhouse gases are way down.
Let me ask: has it been so hot that you can cook a gizzard egg on the sidewalk?
Well, you have to, because you can cook an egg on the sidewalk when it's not record, so it has to be. Now I've seen people on Instagram posting their cars at like 118, 113 in other places, because we're not as bad as Phoenix. We're up in the air. Phoenix is down in a hole. So we're a little bit better. We're like 10 degrees better than them. So it'll be hot here, and it'll be fucking hot. But it'll be like, I don't know how they deal with it hot there. Plus it's worse because of so much concrete there that they just deal with it differently. We're much smaller, so there's literally just physically room for the heat to flow into our washes and away. Like there's lower areas of town. We have terrain here, where Phoenix is really just a giant parking lot in a lot of places, right? So
It's a nice parking lot, though. I'm from there.
yeah, but it's huge. So there's no way for that heat to go anywhere. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You've been there, but you haven't driven around. I mean, it's just giant. Since I've lived here, the sprawl is just amazing. So I just can't even imagine how hot it gets there, is what I'm saying. So anyway, the other parts of the country are getting way worse than us. Let's see, some places at record highs and are getting hit with snow.
One of the other things there.
Interesting. What? What?
BBQ?
Yeah, I'd say the other thing to remember too is when they take that temperature. What's that?
About that temperature. What? Continue.
When they take that temperature, it's taken in the shade. So it's 106 degrees in the shade. So if you're actually out in the sun, that's way worse.
Here's what happens in Colorado, though. He's talking about 60-degree temperature change in 36 hours. What you got in Colorado is whenever it gets hot out, a bunch of them stoners probably start lighting up their marijuanas. So that's a lot of lighters going off. And that makes it even hotter. So then they go over to the refrigerator to get a Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper or whatever. And then they leave the refrigerator open because they're stoned on their marijuana. And now it starts getting really cold. Then the roommate comes home or their mom or whatever, slams the refrigerator door. They start lighting the marijuanas again. It gets hot. Cycle keeps going back and forth. It's never going to end in Colorado because of the situation up there. That's a political temperature situation, from what I understand. One way to get rid of that is to give them their marijuanas in brownies, because then they're not lighting lighters.
But what if they leave the oven on?
Well, you can't let the marijuana addicts make their own brownies. You got to supply them the brownie. I don't think they're able to do that. Yeah, you can't give them an oven. Who knows what they'd be doing with that oven? Making bongs out of it or something?
What if we use an easy bake oven?
Well, that's even worse, probably. With all the electricity. They'd be putting pancake batter in there. Whatever.
Blueberry pot pancakes.
Bet you they would do that. Although I've never heard of that kind of thing. I've never heard of like hot breakfast food. That must not be a thing. Like hot bacon. Never heard of it.
I'm gonna have to ask my brother now. I don't do the crap, but he does, so I'll have to ask him and get a consensus. You'd almost think that breakfast edibles would be a thing, though, because I always hear about this whole wake and bake thing. You think that, just having some pancakes with pod in them would be a thing.
I didn't even think about that, but I was thinking of, as soon as you started saying that, I was like, yeah, you're probably right, because like if you're an old person and you're all crickety or whatever, and you're eating your marijuanas to get your joints or getting your, I don't know, your energy or your spasms, all the different things that people take it for, you probably get up in the morning and eat like something, right? You probably, that's how, because I think most of the old people are probably not smoking bongs in the morning. They're getting up and eating some sort of a, edible version of their marijuanas. So I don't know if there is, maybe there is. Because especially if somebody's not, like, oh, I want to get up, hell, they eat brownies all the time. Like, if I want to get up and eat a brownie, like, if that's not your normal thing, that might not be, you're not on that kind of diet or something. You might want like those. Do they make marijuana smoothies? They probably do.
Probably. What say you on this topic, Night Strike? You're being quiet.
I have nothing to add because I don't do drugs, okay?
You don't have to do them to speculate.
Hey, I would rather not speculate because even the slightest inkling, no.
If you speculate too much about doing drugs, it's the same thing as doing drugs.
I am a full-blown addict then.
It's not the same, but it could get you on a list.
If I'm not already on a list, I'd be surprised.
This, I'm fiddling with this box here. This printer I bought, Xerox. I'm all happy I got a Xerox and stuff. It's super heavy. I think it's like 57 pounds or something. It's not light. And then it's really big. Like it's in a giant box for packaging and stuff, so it doesn't get damaged. So because it's so big, and I guess this is because they're sending it to probably weaklings who shoot 9mm or whatever. So it's like got pictures all over the box. Like you need 7 people to hold it, and like 13 people need to set on a table, and it has to be level and all this kind of crap. So I didn't realize until after I'd already ripped the top off, but it's designed to where you set it on the table and then you flip these little stupid things, these things that are not locked or nothing. You just flip them, and then these little plastic things that cost way too much money flip, and then you just pull them out, and then this whole top shell of the thing comes off, and the bottom, it's sort of like when something's on a pallet, right, where the pallet stays there and all the box lifts away. And I'm like, oh, that's neat, after I already took it apart or whatever. But as I'm sitting here looking at this damn thing, like once somebody knows that about Xerox boxes, all you got to do is like say, oh, there's a Xerox box in the mail somewhere. All you got to do is flip these 2 things, and you can get in there and fiddle with that box. You could take the printer out and put in a box of bricks, and no one would know because it's just going to get sent, right? Just put 50 pounds worth of bricks in there. So I guess I'm probably lucky that it even made it through the post office. I don't see any reason why everybody at the post office isn't stealing every Xerox printer. You literally don't have to cut tape or nothing. Just move these little things, and the top of the box comes off. And then you can put it right back on. I don't know how many people molested my printer before I got it. There's no way to know, literally.
I'm surprised you just didn't get a box of 9mm.
Yeah, they could have put anything worthless that could weigh 54 pounds or 57 pounds or whatever on here. And I would have been like, okay, I'll take it from, I'll sign for it.
Yeah, that's got to be at least like 38 9mm.
No, 55 pounds. It's probably like several thousand 9mm. It would be like it's like when you got a bunch of those popcorn things, except like somebody threw up into the bag. You had like a garbage bag of those popcorn things, but somebody threw up. So it's like, yeah, I got this big bag of popcorn, but it's useless. That's sort of what it would be like having thousands of rounds of 9mm. Like, dang it, now I have to throw this away.
Ew.
Oh, I see what he's saying. For the breakfast thing, probably. I don't know. That probably would taste gross, I bet, though.
Probably.
Except then your mouth would go numb.
Oh, we got Night Strike to speculate. Now he's a druggie.
Oh, shit, he's on a list. Did you see how he said probably?
Sucked him right in.
Definitely on a list now. At first, the guy who was listening was like, nope, this guy's not going to be on the list. Boom. Now he's on the list.
You guys, you're getting me on lists. What's wrong with you?
Maybe there's something you can do to get off the list by, I don't know.
Maybe I can send in a form or something.
Wear a mask more. Like, wear 2 masks, and then that'll, like, make up for some of the just behavior.
2's not enough. We should just wear 3 masks just to be safe.
Let's not go crazy here, Night Strike.
Wear, like, 1 mask in the front and then a mask over each ear just so you don't hear any bad things.
Right. I like where this is going.
Oh, I'll put one over your eyes. So, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
There you go. Hear no corona, see no corona, taste no corona. For sure not taste no corona.
Or go like toast butter.
Want to hear it.
I've already had corona. I don't want to get it again.
Oh, that's true. So, I was out the other night looking around. I don't know what happened. I guess I'm not paying attention. It was like a full moon the other night, and now tonight it hasn't even come up yet. So I don't know where it's at. But the other night it was like a full moon. I see a bunch of bats flying around. It was pretty cool. There must have been like a swarm of something they were eating. So whatever the angle of the moon, you know, how once in a while you can, well, at least out here, once in a while you can see them. Most of the time you can't see them. But it's kind of neat. A bunch of bats flying around. They got bots for that? Yeah. If they had bots, then shouldn't you be able to play some sort of a wave that would, like an audible wave that would transition through, I don't know, like E and T and X and, or not X, but you know, Y, all the common vowels and consonants, and dick with their logarithm. I bet you that would work. Just say have something that's going E or THE one, or saying words, just saying random stuff in the backgrounds. Humans would be able to figure out which was which. I should do that. Oh, Night Strike's scared to talk about the robots too, I guess. So I guess.
Well, I don't know. My birthday is the day Skynet became self-aware.
Keep bringing that up. No, he won't stop not bringing that up.
Night Strike is a robot, I think.
Yeah, I'm totally a robot sent by Skynet from the future.
He wants people to think that for some reason. Maybe he's trying to get in with the robots. Look, all the humans think I'm a robot, so I'm cool.
I welcome our robot overlords with open arms.
Look at that.
That's exactly what a robot would say.
You caught me. I'm a robot. There you go.
A robot that loves 9mm.
You take that back. You take that back. I do not like 9mm.
It's because you love it.
I do not.
Very well. It says we got 7 people over here. Right
I used to love 9mm.
What?
Then my balls dropped. I said I used to love 9mm. Then my balls dropped.
So now it says there's 8 people. So we've got Probably these two, and this guy, and this guy. So who's the other potentially 4 people? It's a conversation. That's some kind of weird peep show. So join in, be part of the conversation. Otherwise, they're going to be weird and talk about 9mm.
And we don't want that.
Those other 4 are the Skynet girlfriend robot things for Night Strike.
No. Just no. Stop.
All right, well, we've been going for an hour or something, and our goal is to go live each night and offer something to talk about that isn't perpetuating the narrative that the mainstream media is sending out there. So, talking about actual gun topics with actual gun people. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll continue to do these on the regular. You guys want to post or plug anything on the way out?
I just did a video today. Well, it posted today about those 2 bills here in PA. So if anybody wants to share it, get the word spread around. That way, like I said, hopefully you get some awareness to these bills. When I tried to look up information on them, as far as other YouTubers or anything like that, nobody seems to have anything on it, which I was kind of like, well, crap. So, yeah, I'm just, like I said, trying to get the word out about them and get people active with it.
Right on. Yeah, I saw the posted video, but I didn't watch it. Anything new over there, Night Strike?
Nothing is new at the moment, so everything is still running just fine. So,
Right on. Well, again, thanks to guys for jumping in, and thanks to the people that join us on the outside to chat about stuff, and we'll continue to be here, chat about real gun stuff. Thanks for joining. Oh, we'll be back to pick up later.